Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders, the great millstone for teaching this truth according to the Bible. Sincere shalom to all the fellow laborers who push this truth and believe in this truth in the last days as we are called to do so. And we're coming close to the end here. Things are escalating. Every brother is making these videos that's doing this labor is making videos on what's going on in the Middle East. What these end time eschatological prophecies, and how they are applying to the events of the world today. And one of the main things that's going to happen, is going to be the revelation or the disclosure or the appearance of the angels of the Lord. People are going to start seeing, miraculous things. And probably the most earth-shattering thing, or the most earth-shattering event, I will say, in the minds of these people of the planet, I'm not just talking about Babylon the Great, but all over the world, the most significant change in reality is going to come when it is finally realized by the masses of the population that we are not alone in the universe. Now, when you're in a religious organization, when you're a part of a church or a mosque or something like that, you speak a lot about angels, you speak a lot about other beings, but when you really think about it, these people in the churches and these people in Islam and all these other religions, they really don't have the right perspective, in mind when it comes to dealing with, the angels, all right? Especially in the Christian church. If you were to walk into a Christian church right now and tell them that, yes, there are extraterrestrial beings, they have always existed, they visit the planet Earth all the time. As a matter of fact, they're here now. They would look at you crazy. They would look at you crazy when you say that there is such thing as UFOs. They do exist. Those are the chariots of Israel in the Bible. They would still look at you crazy. And it's funny because it's almost as if they have disconnected, the Bible and the scriptures in the Bible that talk about these other worldly beings that come from another place and are dealing with the children of Israel. It's almost like they disconnect that entire reality from what they're actually living. And this is how we know, this is one of the things how we know that you so-called Christians are phony. You really don't believe in the Bible, You really actually do not believe in the Bible because the Bible is very clear. The Bible is very clear. There are extraterrestrial superhuman beings that are watching over the planet Earth right now. Yes, this is true. Now, in modern terms, someone might call them aliens. That's what people today would call them. Now, we know that the Bible describes them as Allahayim. They are the Allahayim. All right. They're the angels of the Lord. All right. And, as we get closer and closer to Jacob's trouble being in full swing, because we are in Jacob's trouble right now, but when we get into the full swing of Jacob's trouble, all right, the angels are going to start manifesting themselves and working miracles and providing protection to the elect. All right. Now, in this video, I've done a response to this video before, and this is a little bit different animation, but the audio is the same. Going into the event that took place a while back, decades ago, where there was an apparent alleged interaction between Esau, and a ship of the Lord, a chariot of the Lord that was carrying hundreds of angels. And they actually apparently had a discussion. Now, of course, this is not in the public eye. They kept this hidden. All right, but things like this do happen. It happens in the scriptures. And it's going to happen now. The scriptures in Ecclesiastes say that which has been shall be again. So I want to play this, but first let's go to the scriptures I have pulled up. What is the Lord going to do? Okay, I've said it in a couple of videos that there's going to be an alien invasion of planet Earth. Okay, that's the return of the Lord. That's what it's going to be called, an alien invasion of planet Earth, and it's going to be real. Okay, Habakkuk 3:16. It says, "When I heard, my belly trembled." Okay, when I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. Remember, the day of trouble is the day of the Lord, the day that Yahushai returns, when the world finally sees the chariots of the Lord, the angels of the Lord, and Yahushai coming in great glory. Okay? It says, when he cometh up unto the people. Who is he? That's talking about Yahushai. When he cometh, okay, this is talking about his return, his second return. All right, what is he going to do? It says he will invade them with his troops. So clearly the Bible talks about the return of the Lord being a invasion, a military invasion. Okay, now what is that going to look like? What is that? See, this is what Christians don't do. They don't actually read the scriptures and apply it to the reality that we live in. It's going to be an alien invasion of planet Earth. Okay, point blank period. There's no getting around it. All right, let's get another scripture. Matthew 24 and verse 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. See, there's going to be nuclear bombs dropping. When you look at a missile, okay, you can have plenty of examples, okay, online right now. You can go look them up. Those nighttime missile raids, those missile bombardments, okay, that are going on in the Middle East. When you look at these missiles, they look like falling stars, and they're hitting the ground and creating massive explosions. Okay. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. See, this is talking about the return of Yahushua. The sign of the Son of Man is his chariot, a big old chariot, UFO, alien spaceship is what you would call it today. Okay, it says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven, so-called UFOs, with power and great glory. Okay, so this is what the Lord is coming back with. The clouds of heaven, multiple, okay? These so-called UFOs are going to be carrying the armada, okay, of angels. That's why in Habakkuk 3, it said that it was going to be an invasion, okay? Now, it's like y'all, it's loading very slow. Bear with me for a second. Let's go to, Matthew 24 and 31. It says, and he shall send his angels, what these people today would call aliens, with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. How many times we got to harp on this? Only the elect will be saved. Only the elect will be saved, right? So no, not everybody can be saved. Okay, not even all the Israelites are going to be saved. Only the elect of the nation of Israel shall be saved. Isaiah chapter 10, Isaiah chapter 11, right? What was that? Hosea chapter 14. Okay, Hosea chapter 6, Ezekiel chapter 16, right? Jeremiah 31. Okay. It says, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay, this is that, at the same time that the planet is being invaded by those ships, right? The missiles are going to be flying. All right. The nuclear missiles are going to be flying as a result of World War III. And those ships are going to be transporting. What is the word for it? That tractor beam, when you get, you see it in movies all the time, that tractor beam, right? When you go up into a spaceship, all right, you dematerialize and you rematerialize on the ship. That's what's going to be going on with these angels. Okay, they're going to gather the elect, and the elect are those Israelites. Okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, along with you speckled bird Israelites that might look like the other nations, but your father's bloodline goes back to what? Your father's bloodline goes back to a man of the nation of Israel. Okay, you're an Israelite as well, even if you look like you're another nation. But how do you know? If you believe in the words that we say, okay, if you believe in the true doctrine of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and you believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, that's how you know if you're an Israelite, okay? Let's keep going. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. So, yeah, every eye is going to see him. He cometh with clouds. There's those clouds again. Again, the clouds that are described in the Bible, okay, depending on the verse, they are indeed the chariots of Israel, which are those so-called UFOs, unidentified flying objects. I believe they call them UAPs now today, but I don't understand why they do that. 5-10 years ago, they were called UFOs. I don't know why they changed it. It's a UFO, okay? Just to keep it simple. All right, let's go to this video.
Huge cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force base. These cigar-shaped ships were over a mile in length. One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4.0. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race.
Okay, let's stop right there. Now, that's how the Bible describes them. Of burnished brass, bronze, copper-colored extraterrestrials. They are the sons of God, the Allahayim, the Israelites. Okay, they are Israelites, but of the heavens. Okay, we're Israelites on this planet Earth right now in these mortal bodies. Okay, these chains of darkness. But they are, like it says in Revelation, the 19th chapter, they are our brothers. Now, I'm not going to go into the exact verses that describe the way they look. I did that in another video. Okay, in Lord's will, I'll do it in another video in the future. But the point is, the so-called black man is the closest depiction you're going to get to one of these extraterrestrials. Okay, because we are them and they are us. We are literally the same people. They're our race. They're our brothers. Okay, and Yahushai is the leader. He's the number one. Okay, he's the only begotten son of the Heavenly Father, and he's coming back to save his elect people of the nation of Israel, his brothers, his sisters, okay, that are of the elect. So it's going to be a shock when people finally realize, and I'm waiting for this. I can't wait. I cannot wait. There's going to come a point, I believe, when Esau can no longer deny who we are and what we are. Okay, there's going to come a collective realization about the so-called black man and what he is and why he's been oppressed and hated and disrespected and downtrodden. It's because we are gods. How many times we got to say it? We are Allahayim. We are gods. We are angels. We are literal extraterrestrials on this planet. And we have access to power that nobody else has. Okay, the Israelite man is the most powerful man on this planet and in the universe, in creation, because we are literally the sons of God. All right, let's keep going. Isaiah 66:15 says, "For behold, the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, will come with fire and with his chariots." All right. There's that invasion again. And these chariots aren't just going to be picking up the elect. They're going to be destroying. They're going to be shooting laser beams out of their, out of the front, wherever they, have their laser plasma cannons or whatever it is. They have these heavenly weapons. All right. It says, like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. This is part of probably what they saw in Project Looking Glass. I want to go into make a video on that, Lord's will, in the future. But this is what one of the things they saw is that invasion of planet Earth and them falling from power because their military is going to be destroyed, okay, by these chariots. That fire goes into the laser beams that are going to be shot from the chariots, okay? Matthew 24:27, for as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. The carcass represents the dead Israelite, the Israelites that are in a dead state. Okay. Now, if you look it up, where are the most UFO sightings? Okay. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in America because most of the elect Israelites are in America. Okay. The carcass goes into Revelation, the 11th chapter, their dead bodies lied in the streets of the great city. And Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, which was the valley of the dry bones, the representation of the Israelites being dead. Okay, so the carcass is the Israelites. Okay, there will the eagles be gathered together. The eagles are the chariots, the angels hovering over and watching over the Israelites. Okay, so wherever the carcass is, the main body of the Israelites is in America. That's the strongest concentrated population of Israelites in the world is in America. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you speckled bird Israelites. Okay, you Israelite foreigners. Okay, that's where the carcass is. So the vast amounts of the eagles, the chariots, the angels of the Lord, the Allahayim, should be seen in America. What is the how do I type this? How do I type this? What location on Earth has the highest rate of UFO sightings? Let's see what it says. Nevada. So it's seen all over the place, but I'm going to see if I can ask this question a little bit different. Let's say what country? What country on Earth see if that works. But you saw Nevada on there, okay? Nevada and that whole southwest portion of the United States, okay? Because you have like things known like Area 51 and all that down there. But the United States in general, yeah, look, it says the United States has the highest number of reported UFO sightings on Earth, with over 100,000 recorded reports since 1947. Yeah, because that was right after World War II, okay? Right, literally at the end of World War II, okay? The United States became the superpower of the world, and because the Israelites are here, all right? The carcass is here. Matthew 24:28. Right here, 1 John 3:2 says, "Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he, which is Yahushua, shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is," and that is a God. And we will be turned into God's Lord's will. We're part of the elect, and we get beamed up on those chariots. That's why we do this. We want to get beamed up. We want to get salvation. All right. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm trying to get beamed up. All right. And get that new body. All right.
They look like African Americans.
Yeah, they look like African Americans because so-called African Americans are the tribe of Judah primarily. Okay. And that is the prototypical phenotype, the prototypical phenotype and genotype of the sons of God, or the Israelites. If you go back in history and you look and you were to see Israelites of all the tribes, really, they would be of a Negroid, Afrocentric look. Okay, that's just the facts. All right. Now the northern tribes, okay, the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans, they have a different phenotype, primarily today, because of all the rape and the intermingling that they did with the Spaniards. Okay, Jake of the southern tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. We primarily kept that prototypical Israelite look because the vast majority of us after 70 AD fled into the inner lands of Africa and West Africa and North Africa. Okay. And we kept that Afrocentric look. Okay. But if we had been like the northern tribes and we, were primarily mingled amongst the Edomites, then we would have a different look as well. But it is true that, yes, they do look like so-called African-American men. Okay. That bronze, dark bronze, melanated bronze, all from different shades of brown, light brown to dark brown. Okay.
About 6'4", 6'5".
And when he says 6'4", 6'5", you got to understand, they can change their height, like they can grow. Okay, these are superhuman beings, right? They have superpowers. They have the ability to do all type of manner of things. So 6'4" is nothing like that. That's, they probably just shrunk down so they wouldn't, startle the Edomites too much. But, there's speculation, we're going to be 12, 15 feet tall in the kingdom. Like we could be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 feet tall. Like this is, what did Yahushua say? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit to his height? Okay. That's spiritual power. Okay. So the ability to get taller and shorter and change your body, that's all going to come with spiritual power in the kingdom.
Tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and
in other words, super suits, right? Super suits. All them comic books you read, man, it comes from the Bible. I'm telling you, Stan Lee got his inspiration from the Bible. Superman with his S on his chest, that's for that inspiration comes from the Bible. Okay?
weapons that they...
Those are that's that fine linen. Okay? That's that fine linen. All right?
Came out of the ships with, they were huge weapons, and if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquerors, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That's exactly what these extraterrestrials had, and they informed...
Now, the depictions you're seeing on the screen of Jake, okay, they're lined up, and they don't have any beards. That's off. All right? These so-called black men are going to have full afros and beards, full beards, okay? Because the scriptures tell us that you're not to round the corners of your head, all right? And that we're not to shave our beard. That's against the law. So what you're seeing on the screen is actually off, but you slap a beard on this guy in an afro, all right? And yeah, you got a more accurate depiction.
People at this American Air Force base, that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had controlled a large portion of the galaxy that we live in. And this was the statement that Ronald Reagan was making to the United Nations. Huge cigar.
So you heard it. Even Esau is admitting that these extraterrestrials are real and they're coming. All right, they're going to come. All right, let's finish off here. Let's see if I can. Reload this one. Let's go to Slacky, y'all. Zechariah 5:2, it says, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. That's that cigar-shaped ship, right, that he was talking about. And the length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. And I've heard the argument saying, you know, Zechariah was actually literally seeing what would now be called a UFO, because if it was metaphorical, which it wasn't, he was actually looking at a UFO, a cigar-shaped ship. If it was metaphorical, he wouldn't have given the dimensions. He wouldn't have given he was literally given the literal dimensions of something, an object in the sky that he was seeing, okay, in a vision. Psalm 68:17, the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, right? As in Sinai. What happened at Sinai? That was a ship. That was a ship. That was a chariot at Sinai, by the way. Okay, a massive chariot that led us out of the land of Egypt. Okay, the cloud that our forefathers walked under, the cloud, as it says in the New Testament. It says in the holy place. So, yeah, there's going to be millions upon millions upon millions of angels coming to invade. This is going to be a show of force. It's going to be a spectacular show. All right. So that's the point. The chariots of the Lord are going to be revealed, and these people are going to bug out when they find out that, yes, you know, we are not alone in the universe. There are extraterrestrials, also known as aliens. They are the angels of the Lord. They are the Allahayim, and so-called black people, so-called black African American people are actually aliens. All right. And that goes for all the tribes, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. All right. But I believe that, you know, it's going to be pushed. I believe it's going to be pushed. All right. Just I speak as a man, but I believe that Esau is going to push the narrative, especially for Judah, so-called black man, that we are not human. OK, that we are the actual extraterrestrials, or the extraterrestrials are disguising themselves as so-called black people, black men, and they're extremely dangerous, and we got to chip everybody, and we got to know who everybody is. I believe that's going to happen, but we'll see. All right. So with that, I'll close out and give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakak Wadash. Let's close out with this video one more time.
So huge cigar-shaped ship appeared over the Air Force base. These cigar-shaped ships were over a mile in length. One of them landed on the airport landing strip area. When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4.0. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5". These tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and the weapons that they came out of the ships with, they were huge weapons. And if you've ever seen a race of people that were conquerors, that had never been conquered, they've got this look about them of arrogance. That is exactly what these extraterrestrials had, and they informed these people at this American Air Force base that not only were they from a militaristic society, but they had controlled a large portion of the galaxy that we live in. And this was the statement that Ronald Reagan was making to the United Nations.
Shalom.